what it is today without the sweat, blood, and the commitment of the so-called colonies back in those days. Without Africa, without India, without Asia, without even South America, the UK wouldn't be the great kingdom that it is today. So when people ask you, what are black people doing in the United Kingdom, tell them we own this place, we are part of it, we have a commitment to this country. We are no strangers. And it took an effort of quite a lot of people for us to get to where we are. 1948, black people came into this country from all over the world as guests of Her Majesty to develop the UK, build the underground system, the railway system, sweat, blood. Some people died in the process. And we celebrate our forefathers who made it possible for our kids and the generations of black people in the UK to hold their heads high up and fight. The Brixton riot was about resistance. I mean, there was a time in this country where there were signs, no blacks, no dogs, no Irish. But today we've come thus far. Tonight I'm going to have later on the show, Sarah Shoraka, Sarah and Clarissa Mudukuti are going to join me. But first, I've got something interesting for you. I was out there in the streets of London and I met these young people, white, black, and what have you. And I asked them, what are you guys up to? They said, we're from Zimbabwe. We're coming together to work for Zimbabwe. And I'm like, your kids, you should be in school. You shouldn't be talking about Zimbabwe. And they said, no, although we are British Zimbabweans, we're concerned about the situation back home, and we want to help the people of Zimbabwe. And I thought it was only proper and it's only right on this month of Black History Month to celebrate our young British diaspora black people and ask them, what do they have for the people of Africa and black people all over the world? So I have with me in the studio from Zimlink, Zimbabwe Link, Amanda Chienmbiri and Tandy Mtungwazi. So Amanda and Tandy, you're welcome to Politics with KO.
Thank you.
Hello.
Yeah, Amanda, so tell me, what's Zimlink all about?
Well, Zimlink is a project that I'm part of, and it's a non-profit organization, and our aim is to empower people through media. Tandy will explain further.
So Tandy,
Yep.
through media, why is media important to the people of Zimbabwe?
For example, we all, Zimbabwe gets quite a bad rep at the moment, quite a negative view, and we're just trying to show everyone, the rest of the world, literally what Zimbabwe is about and the real things that are there. And I think what's really important with us is that we're just trying to get a lot of young people to get involved with the older generation as well and just have a conversation. Because, I mean, myself and Amanda, we've been speaking and saying, we'd like to speak to people like our grandparents' age and get to know and understand not only just politics and how Zimbabwe has changed, but we want to understand the history of where we're from, who we are, what we're doing, and to be honest, our purpose in life as black young women from Zimbabwe as well, and representing here.
So Amanda, when you hear these negative things about Zimbabwe, how do you feel?
Well, I'll just react in a way like, that's not the Zimbabwe I know.
So tell us the Zimbabwe you know.
The Zimbabwe I know is beautiful. It's where I come from. It's my background. Zimbabwe is in me. And Zimlink is a part of that. And Zimlink is there to celebrate the good things in Zimbabwe. And we have people in Zimbabwe sharing stories and things that they're doing out there. And we have things that we share that are doing, what we're doing out here. And it's to build that bridge and that barrier between people in the UK and people in Zimbabwe, because I want to know what's going on in Zimbabwe when I'm not there. And Zimlink has helped me do that.
That's not okay. So Tandy, I should ask you this: you are British and you're Zimbabwean.
Yep.
Where does your loyalty lie?
I think I'm allowed to be both.
Okay.
I'm able to have the opportunity to be both, but such an opportunity to be part of Zimlink allows me to share my Zimbabwean heritage, where I'm from, and what's really important for me is just being able to connect and use my skills, my media skills, especially like from one of our head team. His name's called Zach, and he literally formed us together and found us, and it's just for young people just to come together, use our skills. We're both presenters, we're interviewers. You know, we want to be in your seat, actually.
Yeah, I don't mind.
But, you know, he allows us to give us, you know, to have this opportunity, this platform to actually speak about Zimbabwe, get involved. We did things like Face of the Globe. So Zimbabwean people like modeling, like some pretty beautiful women. And obviously we get involved in Zimbabwean Festival. So it was just amazing this year, and the outcome of it was on.
So Amanda, I read one of your projects you're trying to do is to take cameras, equipment back to schools in Zimbabwe, go to the villages and the hinterlands, and just share the knowledge you have and teach people. Is that not such a big, huge project for young people? What are you thinking about?
I'm thinking about helping the people in my country and to empower people through media, because that's what me and Tandy can give back. Because media is something I learned in this country and what I gained from this country, and it's something that is quite important in our generation, because with media you can do a lot of things in these days. So
And do you? Obviously, I'm Nigerian. Obviously, and I'm proud I'm a proud African person, and I'm also proud of the fact that Britain has given us the opportunity as a good host to live here and be part of the community. But it's obvious that we still have a long way to go. It's Black History Month. Do you feel, as a black person in the United Kingdom, do you have a sense of belonging?
Indeed. We do a lot of things for Black History Month. You have famous people like Mallory Blackman. You know, I used to live in Lewisham, so people like that, like just who empower you through books and reading. And for us, through media, like we're saying, we live in a technological, you know, world. You know, we're born in 1993, going on, and so we've got things like Facebook, Twitter, and we're able to communicate that way and just have a great time.
So Amanda, if people want to reach to, I've got a lot of our viewers will be watching today, and people from Zimbabwe. And I know there's a friend of mine who says, I must see your program today because and this is your opportunity, because he's saying, I don't want to think about Zimbabwe, but if you're telling me young people from Zimbabwe are going to be on the program, then I'll watch the program. So this is an opportunity to reach out to those people, and if they want to get in touch with you, if they want to assist you, in what way can they contribute to ZimLink?
Okay, so firstly, there's Facebook. They can like ZimLink on Facebook. They can follow ZimLink TV on Twitter. They can also go on the website, ZimLink, www.zimlink.org. We have a website. And also, if they want to talk to me, they can email me at Amanda, CHINEZ.zimlink.org.
Amanda and Tandy, I must say, look, you know, one of the things on this program I talk about is the fact that Ben TV is giving an opportunity for people to contribute to the society, and this 1 hour program is actually a contribution of Ben TV to have people like you to come and tell the world about the beautiful things black people are doing, and even not just black people, British people, everyone in this country. And we've had Amanda and Tandy from ZimLink talking about the wonderful job they are doing, and we're going to go on a short break, and when we come back, our Ngozi Gale is going to come and give us the news about things that is happening all around the world. And then we'll have Sarah Shoraka and Clarissa Mudukuti. These are two wonderful people. You want to wait and hear what they've got to say about Kwame Nkrumah and Saro Wiwa. These are two great Africans, different generations, and they did so much to get the international attention. So don't go away. When we come back, we'll have Ngozi Gale, who will tell us what's happening around the world, and then I'll bring in Sarah and Clarissa. It's your show, Politics with KO, live from the UK, Ben Television. Don't go away, please.
Hi, folks. My name is Dayadine, but my friends and fans do call me D1. Whenever I'm in London, or even in the diaspora, I keep it locked because I watch Ben Television, Ben TV. Don't touch that dial.
Car Entertainment presents The Boat Cruise on Saturday 26th October 2013. Location Tower Pier, nearest station Tower Hill. Ticket £40 at www.eventbrite.co.uk. Boarding time 9 p.m. sharp. Music by DJ Goody, DJ Dubwhite and DJ TZ, stand-up comedians and more. For more information and booking, call Arthur Don Goody on the numbers on the screen. Remember, it's the Car, the boat cruise on Saturday 26th October. Come and be part of the greatest night of the year.
This event is supported by
Hi folks, my name is Dayadene, but my friends and fans do call me D1. Whenever I'm in London, or even in the diaspora, I keep it locked because I watch Ben Television, Ben TV. Don't touch that dial.
Ben TV, in conjunction with Nigerian Diaspora Leadership Forum and other UK organizations, invites you to the Diaspora National Dialogue Summit, date October 26th in London. The summit will also include participants from Europe, USA, Asia, and those available via Skype, Twitter, and Facebook. Register by email bentelevisionuk@gmail.com. This is a global diaspora event in order to share and inform Nigeria of diaspora interests and views on the sovereign nation known as Nigeria. Be there.
Hi folks, my name is Dayadene, but my friends and fans do call me D1. Whenever I'm in London, or even in the diaspora, I keep it locked because I watch Ben Television, Ben TV. Don't touch that dial.
1, 2, 3. Car Entertainment presents the boat cruise on Saturday 26th October 2013. Location Tower Pier, nearest station Tower Hill. Ticket £40 at www.eventbrite.co.uk. Boarding time 9 p.m. sharp. Music by DJ Goody, DJ Dubwhite and DJ TZ, stand-up comedians and more. For more information and booking, call Arthur Don Goody on the numbers on the screen. Remember, it's the Car, the boat cruise on Saturday 26th October. Come and be part of the greatest night of the year.
This event is supported by
Hi, welcome back to Politics with KO on Ben TV. The news tonight, we're starting off with Nigeria and politics, and President Jonathan has called for a conference in Nigeria, the National Dialogue, and this is to, of course, discuss the state of things in Nigeria. So with that in effect, Ben TV is organizing a conference of its own in association with Nigeria Diaspora Leadership Forum. It's going to be run by Ben TV and it's going to take place on the 26th of this month. This, of course, is to also discuss the events and situation about Nigeria as it is as a whole. It's organized and run by Ben TV, like I said, but it's also led by Alistair Shoyode. So everybody is invited to know more. Please go to Ben TV's website and check out more information on that. Following on politics, and Nigerians are still reacting very, very angrily over the Texan Senator Ted Cruz and his comment that he made. Ted Cruz has, of course, said that the reason why Obamacare's website is not working is because he had hired Nigerian fraudsters to man the website. This comment has definitely induced a series of violent attacks and incited angry reaction from many Nigerians in America. Of course, gone as far as to say that Ted Cruz is, of course, frustrated because of the fact that this Obamacare issue that he'd been fighting had been managed to get along anyway. The bill has been passed and there's nothing he can do about it. So Nigerians are saying that if he's angry about it, he should attack President Obama himself and not call Nigerians fraudsters. I have to say I agree with them. It's rather very tactless to do, isn't it? Moving on, I am going to talk about entertainment now. And if there's any of you out there who's saying that Genevieve Nnaji is a diva for not attending her premiere, then please know that that is absolutely wrong. Genevieve Nnaji did not attend the premiere because she wasn't well. She flew into London as planned to attend the premiere of Half a Yellowstone. Half a Yellowstone is, of course, a book written by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie and has been produced and directed by B. B. Bandaledade, sorry. And of course, it's something that everybody's been looking forward to, especially seeing that the stars involved are of Nigerians' very own elite. This includes Genevieve Nnaji herself, Onyeka Onwenu, and UK and Nigerian actor himself, Chiwetel Ejiofor, as well as Thandi Newton. Thandi Newton herself did not attend it because she was on set in Vancouver. But Genevieve Nnaji did not attend, this has been confirmed, because she actually fell ill whilst in London. Otherwise, the premiere, we reported, went really well and was greatly attended. And finally, we'll move on to the fact that, of course, it's Black History Month. And the thing about Black History Month is that one of its aims is, of course, to use it to look at in-depth look at the stories of Black icons and their leaders. And it's also used to appreciate the lasting effect of their impact on our community. One of the things I've seen on the internet so far that I actually really enjoyed is a documentary that was produced by Emanuela Ngozide, and the documentary is called Divided by Race, United by War and Peace. It's a very strong documentary. It's really fantastic, and it's about the contributions of Black people towards the World War that, of course, affected this country. So if you want to know more about it, just go on the internet or join us, follow us on Twitter at Ogundamesi or me, Gail Ngozi, and we can talk more about it. But like I said, the name of it is Divided by Race, United by War and Peace. A fantastic documentary that would say a lot about Black History Month this October. That concludes my news. The reason is I can't wait to hear more about Saro Wiwa and Nkrumah that, what's his name, Kayode is going to be giving us. So Kayode, I'm passing it on to you and your guests. It's going to be very interesting. Yeah,
thank you, Ngozi. Of course, I'm not sure Ngozi would have met Saro Wiwa or Kwame Nkrumah, bearing in mind that she's still young, unlike me, that I spent time with Kwame Nkrumah. I was only kidding anyway. Well, tonight, on a serious note, we are going to have two people who have done quite a lot in terms of making their own contribution to intellectual discourse, to debates about Africa. But first, let me tell you who they are. Sarah Shoraka is from Platform. For those of us who are in the pro-democracy movement in Nigeria, during the difficult times, Platform is one of the organizations that stood with Nigerians, especially the people of the Niger Delta. They took on Shell and all the multinationals that are polluting the Niger Delta area. And Sarah is a campaign person from Platform. And then Sarah is going to concentrate on the legacy of Saro Wiwa, the issues around Niger Delta, and the way forward. And then we're also going to have Clarissa Mudukuti. She's also in the studio, and it's amazing because Clarissa has written a book on Kwame Nkrumah, that's Kwame Nkrumah the Man. And what's actually quite amazing about this is that Clarissa is not even from Ghana. And I really want to know why she's gone out of her way to research someone like Kwame Nkrumah. And why this is important is because in the UK, it's Black History Month, but the emphasis is on Afro-Caribbeans in the UK. That's important, but we felt it was much more important that African people who've contributed to internationally should also be recognized. So Ben TV is presenting to you Sarah and Clarissa. You're both welcome to Politics with KO, and I'm so happy to have you in the studio.
Thank you.
So I'll let you go first. Clarissa, Kwame Nkrumah. Who is Kwame Nkrumah?
Well, Kwame Nkrumah, for those who don't know, Kwame Nkrumah was the first democratically elected president for Ghana. And Ghana was the first country to gain its independence in the whole of Africa. So he had a vision for the whole of Africa, not just Ghana, but for Africa, for the whole of Africa to gain its independence through non-violent means, but most importantly, to gain its economic independence. So why Kwame Nkrumah? It's because of his vision, the great work he did, even before his death, even after he was deposed in a coup. And really, the other reason is the youth of today can actually pick up that vision, run with it, and apply it in Africa. And I still think and believe that it can come to pass.
Can you tell us what Kwame Nkrumah's vision was?
Kwame Nkrumah's vision was for Africa to be independent, not just to have the term we're independent, political independence, but to have economic independence. A lot of African countries, including Zimbabwe, rely heavily on agriculture, export of agriculture and export of agricultural food. So it's quite important, he always stated, for every African country to gain its economic independence, so that they have a say on how the country is run, and they have a say on how and what they would like for their country, instead of being told what to do by colonial powers. Yeah. So that's the main reason why.
Okay, thanks. Sarah, you see, Platform, I should say I'm a friend of Platform, and I admire the work you guys are doing. And of course, I'm quite amazed at the fact that people from diverse continents who are not even Nigerian are doing so much for the people of the Niger Delta. And I just want you to tell us first, the work Platform. What is Platform?
Thanks very much for having me. Platform's a small charity that combines activism, arts, research and education projects to drive social change. And we mainly work with communities and global movements that are resisting fossil fuel extraction in all different parts of the world. And we work with them to drive change in the centres of power, where the problems are happening far away, but actually the problems are being caused in places like London. And that's where we come in. Okay.
And then, Saro Wiwa, obviously, I know you're going to Nigeria pretty soon to mark Saro Wiwa's anniversary. Can you first tell us about what you know about Saro Wiwa, and then the anniversary? What's the event?
Sure, yes. So Saro Wiwa was many things, actually. He was a writer. He wrote plays, poetry. He even wrote a very popular Nigerian soap opera. But he was also an environmental activist, and he came from a small area of the Niger Delta called Ogoniland, and he was very involved in trying to get justice for this area that has suffered so many of the burdens of oil extraction, but really none of the benefits. And Saro Wiwa was executed by the military government in 1995 for campaigning against oil companies like Shell. And in 2015, it will be the 20th anniversary of his execution. And we really want to mark this occasion by re-inspiring people about what his vision was. His vision was that there would be justice, that the Niger Delta would have a clean environment, that people's livelihoods would be restored. And we want people to take on that vision and really make it happen.
Now, Sarah and Clarissa, you see, these are two men, two different generations, two great Africans. And all they wanted to do was make change for their community. Kwame Nkrumah, was he misunderstood? I've met Ghanaians who say this is just a dictator that deserved what he got. Would you agree with that?
No, I wouldn't. I think Kwame Nkrumah was greatly misunderstood. His main vision and purpose was to bring Africa together, to have a United States of Africa, to empower Africa, and to stop any power from the outside of Africa coming to interfere with African politics, African way of life. So I think that he was greatly misunderstood. He only had less than 10 years to implement his strategies. Besides that, Ghana had just gained its independence, so he had to work had to really work hard from the bottom up. And to be quite honest, gaining African independence would take much longer than that. As we know, South Africa recently became independent in 1994. So he was greatly misunderstood, didn't live long enough, I don't think.
we're going to open the phone lines in a few minutes, and we want you to call in and engage us in this program. And this is going to be an educative one for people watching at home, especially our African brothers and sisters, and of course, friends of Africa in the United Kingdom. Sarah, what is the situation in the Niger Delta now?
Unfortunately, the situation in the Niger Delta isn't much better than it was when Saro Wiwa was alive. Some things have definitely moved forward. One success story is that because of Ken's campaigning, Shell was actually expelled from Ogoniland and hasn't been able to drill there or go back there since. That's a major step forward. However, the area is still so polluted. And there's oil, because there's oil pipelines that go through the area still. There's new spills. Last week there was a new spill in Ogoniland. So what really needs to happen now is that the cleanup needs to happen. 2 years ago, the UN did a big report on Ogoniland, and they set out the extent of the pollution and what needs to happen. And since then, no action's been taken. And that really needs to be done now. So,
Clarissa, with Kwame Nkrumah's vision was a united Africa, and we have the Organization of African Unity. Is it now the AU, African Union? That's right. We would say it was successful to an extent.
Yes, thankfully, he was successful to that extent. And some of the principles in the OAU have been transferred into the AU, which is the African Unity, African Union, which is currently running. So he was successful. But the purpose of me writing this book is to reawaken that vision, especially in the youth. So the book is actually targeted to the youth, for the youth. It's easy enough for them to understand, but we need to enlighten or bring up the vision of Kwame Nkrumah again. It also instills a bit of confidence in our youth, in our young ones, so they can look backwards in order to move forwards, I believe. But Kwame Nkrumah's work is still alive, thank God for that, and we can do more to push it forward.
And do you get this kind of, I know from my part of the country, I mean, we've got this issue of who is not from where. Do you get things from Ghanaians saying, you're Zimbabwean, why should you be writing about a Ghanaian hero? I do. One of the questions was, have you been to Ghana? And I said, no. So what do you know about Kwame Nkrumah? I didn't want to be rude. I could have literally... Fellow Zimbabweans, well, you're Zimbabwean, why are you writing about Ghana? Can't you write about Robert Mugabe? And I said, give me time, I'll get there. But as a Pan-Africanist, I have love for Africa. So did Kwame Nkrumah, and so do a lot of people, African people. So it's great that we can lift up each other, regardless of which country you're from. Okay, great. Sarah, in the Niger Delta and in Nigeria generally, do you network with activists from within the country? I mean, I've got some organizations in the UK, all they just do is sit down in the comfort of their office, go on the internet and just write things about Africa. And they've not even stepped out of the UK to know what is on the ground. Do you guys have people on the ground who report to you? Do you visit Nigeria, especially the Niger Delta? Definitely. I think that's really important. In fact, I'm going there next week, which I'm really looking forward to. But I mean, I think our job at Platform is to really amplify what groups are already doing and movements are already doing in the Niger Delta. They know what the problems are, they're living with them, and they also know what the solutions are. But I think our job is to amplify their voices and bring them to the centres of power, bring them to Shell, bring them to the UK government, because they don't want those voices to be heard, and they're telling their shareholders a very different story. And so by me going there and having connections with these groups, I can bring these uncomfortable stories to the fore and hopefully make change happen. Absolutely. Good evening. We've got someone on the line. Good evening. Okay, I think we've lost that now. I'm going to ask you this question, and I hope you're not going to take it the wrong way. Okay. And that question is, do you not think it's important to write about today's hero instead of these men, Kwame Nkrumah, Saro Wiwa? These are men of yesteryear, some would say. That's right. I think it's important to write about the likes of Saro Wiwa and Kwame Nkrumah because these are great men. These are African giants. These are the forefathers of Africa, and they had a great vision. Fine, we could criticize Kwame Nkrumah's work as well. You know, no one is perfect. But picking out the good bits about him, he had a fantastic vision for Africa. And that vision can still be realized today, can still be implemented in Africa. So I think in order for us to move forward as a continent, we need to look back, learn from mistakes, past mistakes made by Kwame Nkrumah himself, and learn from his good parts, his good bits, and move forward. Okay, I've got, good evening. We've got a caller on the line. Good evening.
Good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Yeah, good evening. Hello, can you hear me?
Okay, if we don't have you on the line. Good evening.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Hello, I can hear you. Can you make your contribution, please?
Yes, I just want to quickly chip in my point of view.
I can hardly hear you. I know you're on the line, but if you could just speak louder a bit.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Okay, I can hear you. We'll try and if there's a technical issue, we'll try and fix that. But pending that, hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, before Unami, just stay on the line. Don't go away. I'm sure we're going to be able to sort this out because we want everyone to make contributions. Are you on the line now?
Yes, I am on the line.
Fantastic. Yeah, so it's Politics with KO, it's Ben TV, and it's Black History Month, and I've got Sarah and Clarissa with me. Make your contribution, please.
Okay, I just wanted to quickly chip in about Kwame Nkrumah and Saro Wiwa.
Yeah.
I think these are two remarkable individuals, but I personally want to focus on Kwame Nkrumah, and one of the lessons I feel that Africans can learn, especially on Black History Month.
Yeah.
No doubt, Kwame Nkrumah was a remarkable individual. Having studied Kwame Nkrumah personally myself, I think there is a lot for us Africans to learn from Kwame Nkrumah, his leadership style, his vision for Africa, like the lady rightly said about his vision on creating the United States of Africa. Yeah. But most importantly, I think we also have to learn from the mistakes Nkrumah made while he was president of Ghana. We shouldn't also forget that Nkrumah became more autocratic during his presidency, and was beginning to clamp down on opposition unions that helped him to get into power during his anti-colonial struggle.
Okay, Nnamdi, just hold on. Nnamdi, hold on there. Don't go away. Just hold on. Prince, good evening, Prince.
Hello, good evening.
Prince, where are you calling from?
I am calling from Exeter.
Okay, please go ahead and make your contribution.
Well, I just want to commend the efforts of these wonderful people with you there.
Yeah.
Because I know that without these great people mentioned, there wouldn't be history of Africa.
Yeah.
You know, you asked the question about why is the lady writing about the past heroes.
Yeah.
Well, you need to know that without the past, there won't be any present, if
Absolutely.
you agree with me.
Yeah.
So bringing these people back to life, literally, you know, it will help, you know, the upcoming, you know, generation to know that, okay, there are people that we cannot just forget.
Okay.
They made their part and they made history. You know? So I really give kudos to them.
All right, thank you, Prince. Do we still have Emeka there online?
Yes, I'm still.
Okay, Emeka, I'll let Sarah and Clarissa answer your question. Yeah, these are two great men. Well, they were autocratic in a way. I mean, Kwame Nkrumah is accused of being autocratic. Saro Wiwa was accused of organizing the murder of fellow Ogoni people who did not agree with his vision. And that's the point Nnamdi was trying to raise. If you'd like to just react to that.
Yeah, so the charges against Ken Saro were trumped-up charges. It wasn't a fair trial, and I think there's generally consensus on that. But we're not trying to say that he was a saint, of course. You know, he was just a man. But what we're really talking about is Ken's vision and what he was trying to do, and that's what people can take inspiration from. Knowing that he was just one man, and his, you know, Ken's last words were, "The struggle continues," and that's what we want to try and do and play a part in with others.
Okay, Nnamdi, I'll let Clarissa. Nnamdi, are you still there?
Yes, I'm still here.
I'm going to give Clarissa to reply to you. Yeah, was he too autocratic to be loved?
Unfortunately, yes. Toward the end of his reign in power, he became autocratic. He introduced a one-party state. You know, people were jailed for, you know, up to 5 years without a trial, which is really unfair. But as Sarah's just mentioned, these men were not perfect. But what we can do is pick the good and the bad, learn from the bad, not to implement that again or not to do the same mistakes again, and then actually move forward with the positive. In this book, I also highlight the negative parts of Kwame Nkrumah, the things he shouldn't have done, and the things he did. So it gives us a balance.
Yeah. So we want to thank Prince and Nnamdi for contributing to the show. And then, Sarah, why don't we produce great men anymore? I mean, these are men that you could say they are institutions on themselves. What's happening?
I don't think that's true, actually. I've met a lot of great men when I've, going to the Niger Delta. You meet a lot of people struggling. I mean, you had someone last week on your show, Celestine Akwabari. Yeah. I work with him. He works for a small NGO called Social Action that goes out to communities and empowers them to take action in their own community. There's loads of people out there. We just don't hear about them. And unfortunately, we only hear about them when really bad things happen.
Yeah, that's true. And then, Clarissa, how can we get young people, like what your effort is to get young people to get to the ideals of this man?
That's right.
And how can we get young people to stay? I mean, they should listen to Dibanj and what have you. How can we get them back into the intellectual discourse of knowing about great men from our continent?
Right. I think the onus to begin with lays with the parents. Unfortunately, African parents that come to this country are too busy chasing the pound, the elusive pound. Therefore, children are left at home by themselves and they get up to their own antics. Parents need to encourage children to learn about their history, where they're from. Parents need to buy books like these, not just because I'm promoting my book, but they need to buy books on African history to teach their children. We cannot rely on the British government to do that because it's currently not in the curriculum. So the government will never teach our kids about African history. We need to do it. We need to get our children involved, and parents just need to.
Okay, I've got someone on the line. Good evening. Is that Jacob?
Good evening.
Jacob, good evening. Where are you calling from, please?
I'm calling from Penn.
Okay, we're happy to have you on the program, and you've been following Sarah and Clarissa. Can you make your contribution, please?
I'd like to talk about the Respect campaign for Ken.
Okay, go ahead, please.
I think when Deirdre was in prison, she was brutally injustice.
Sorry, I didn't get that.
When Ken allowed Deirdre, when he had her with another woman and she was in prison to the Rashid man, she was terribly injustice.
Okay, I think you're talking about someone completely different from this program, but we do appreciate that. We'll bring in Zororai from... Zororai, good evening.
Hello.
Hello, good evening. Where are you calling from, please?
I'm calling from Middlesbrough.
Okay, it's nice to have you on this program. I hope you've been following. I've got Sarah and Clarissa, and go ahead and make your contribution, please. Hello, can you hear me, please?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, please go ahead and make your contribution.
I just want to thank the two ladies for coming forward and lifting up the two people, Saro Wiwa and Kwame Nkrumah, and I believe they have done a lot, basically, in terms of laying down the foundations which people can follow. However, what concerns me is, when I look at the whole of Africa, nobody seems to be learning from it in terms of handing over power, because it looks like history is there to learn from so that we do not repeat the same mistakes.
Yeah.
But we keep repeating the same mistakes. So I'm now thinking maybe the teaching is supposed to be how to hand over power, how to pass on the baton.
Okay, I get your message. That's people. We've got lots of dictatorship coming out. Before you respond to that, I want to take Kunle. Kunle, good evening.
Yeah.
Kunle, good evening. Okay, I think we've lost Kunle there. Yeah, she made a valid point there, as in African leaders don't want to give up. I mean, they start up doing very well. I've got the case of Museveni in Zimbabwe. I mean, did fantastic, and suddenly he doesn't want to go anywhere again. What's? I don't know if you want to talk about that. If platform will let you, but I'll let Clarissa take the lead. What's wrong with in Cameroon? I mean, the man Paul Biya has been there like forever. And of course, in Zimbabwe, Mugabe, I mean, he was there from when my grandmother, was like playing in the stream, and he's still there. And I'm like going to 45 now. What's wrong with African leaders?
I think African leaders do need to rethink their politics, and they need to hand over power to fresh young minds. As much as I respect Robert Mugabe, he has been there for quite a while, and I'm sure he's looking forward to pass the reins to a younger generation. However, as I said before, we could always learn the mistakes that they've made, learn from these past leaders or current leaders, and try and encourage the youth not to implement the same mistakes, because they are the leaders of tomorrow. So my emphasis is on the young ones coming up. Okay. We need to teach them how to...
Okay, before Sarah comes in, I've got David. David, good evening. Hello, good evening, David. Okay, Sarah, these reports keep coming up about pollution in the Niger Delta. In fact, the last one I read indicated that we've got worse pollution under the current dispensation than we could ever think of. And how come in America they were able to clean up within a short period of time? And in the Niger Delta, these oil companies just pollute and then they go away, which is one of the things Saro Wiwa was quite upset about. What is happening? Is it that these multinationals seem to have lost conscience or something?
Yeah, I think there's a great sense of injustice, and I think it's basically racism. I mean, they're in places where they think they can operate to a lower standard than they can in the West or in the US. And that's wrong and that's unjust, and that's why we need to challenge them whenever we can and to highlight what they're doing. I mean, I think Shell and other oil companies think that these places are far away, people don't have access to the same, you know, media, etc. But now there's the internet, people can upload stuff, you know, things are changing and they can't get away with it anymore.
Okay, Kunle, good evening. Is Kunle on the line?
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you clearly. We like your excitement. Yeah, we like your excitement. That's why we want you to contribute. Kunle, welcome to Politics.
I want to know where can I get the book of Kwame Nkrumah?
Okay, Clarissa.
The book is currently on Amazon.com, so you can order it off there, and it costs £10, probably be £12 plus packaging and postage, but it's on Amazon.
Okay, it's available at Amazon?
Yeah, on Amazon, yeah.
Okay.
And also, also make sure you watch Politics with KO and you support Ben TV, your community station. Before then, Clarissa.
Okay. I just also want to appreciate the effort of the writer.
Okay.
The young lady from Zimbabwe.
Okay.
And the other lady about Saro Wiwa.
Yeah.
I think they have given a lot of information, which is very, very helpful, especially for the oncoming generation.
Great.
Nkrumah is an idol for Africa because he has done a lot of good things. And I think having a book written on him will be a very good type of book to read.
Yeah.
So I want to congratulate the two beautiful ladies sitting by your side there for what they are doing.
Okay.
What they have done.
Yeah. Thanks, Kunle, for that, and thanks for not even acknowledging that they've got an handsome presenter, you know, on the show. But I'll take that. I'll take that. Now, on a serious note, Clarissa, how can we talk about African unity when I can't walk into Zimbabwe or walk into South Africa without someone asking me for a visa, and we're supposed to be one and the same continent?
Yeah, this is what the AU needs to look at. They need to relax the border restrictions amongst regions, and then amongst the, in the whole of the continent. We need to be able to intertrade freely. We need to be able to move from country to country freely without having to produce documentation each time we do that. And I think they are looking at it. They're trying to address it. But the quicker it's done, the better it is for Africa. So these are one of the steps that they're trying to implement. But I think it's also taking quite a while. It's taking a long time. Time is moving on. Africa is a very powerful continent, but we still haven't realized the potential of Africa. So the quicker the AU, get things started, the better.
Okay, before I go back to Sarah, I've got Chris on the line. Chris, good evening. Good evening, Chris. You're welcome to Politics with KO. You've listened to Sarah and Clarissa. Can we have your contribution, please?
Yeah, my own contribution goes straight to Sarah, because I don't really know if she's a Nigerian or British or something like that, but because the way she's speaking about Saro Wiwa seems to know that she knows much about the Niger Delta. Yeah. I am not from Niger Delta, but I am from Imo State, over to be precise. Because what is still happening in Niger Delta maybe seems to happen around Imo State, which is the oil riverine area of Ewada and Uguta, which Saro Wiwa died because of the oil spillage that the British, let me put it clearly, British company, Shell, Elf, Chevron, etc. are spilling all over the area without paying compensation, without even paying back to the people. And they keep killing people. What may amaze me is that Al Jazeera and BBC will never show those kind of news to the public. Yeah. They will never tell us how many people they kill. But if it's about immigration, they will come up first. And they keep supporting the northern part of Nigeria in executing people in the Niger Delta because of their oil. I want to ask a question. Since the killing of Saro Wiwa, what have the British people said about her? And I want them, as they're celebrating Saro Wiwa on the marking the 20 years, let them make it in such a way that the whole world will know. If Nigeria is to be divided, let them divide it.
Okay, before we start dividing Nigeria, I would want Sarah to, there's one point he made there, is the fact that there seems to be some collaboration between the international media and the oil companies in covering up cases of injustice in oil-producing areas, not just in Nigeria, but all over the world. Specifically, what is Platform doing to look beyond the Niger Delta? Because he mentioned Imo State, which is southeast Nigeria. And we're discovering oils in the northern part now, and Lagos is also talking about, everyone seems to be discovering oil all over the country now. I mean, how would you react to Chris's statement, apart from the fact that you're not competent to decide when to pick up the knife and divide Nigeria?
No, I don't think that's a question for me. Yeah, I mean, Platform works in lots of different countries, and we're keeping a watching brief on lots of stuff that's happening, especially gas extraction, which is the new thing that's happening. But really, I think oil extraction in the Niger Delta has been going on since the 1950s, and that's where the most serious areas of pollution are. And that's why our campaign's focused on getting the cleanup to happen there. And I think if we manage to do that there, it sets a really good precedent for better practices in the rest of the country. But starting with a place where the problem's the worst, I think makes sense. And just to come back on what you said about the British people or the British government, we're also putting pressure on the UK government to try and... The UK government gives a lot of support to oil companies like Shell, but it doesn't and it gives lots of money in military aid to the Nigerian government, which is essentially money to protect oil infrastructure. But what we want it to do is to support human rights and governance and to put pressure on oil companies like Shell to start their cleanup. So we're also doing that in the UK to put pressure on the government as well, not just working in Nigeria.
Okay. Sarah, before I come to you, I've got Vincent on the line. Vincent, good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Vincent, where are you calling from, please?
London.
Okay, go ahead and welcome to the program.
The problem you have to think about is your leadership.
Okay.
The leadership. From the time we had independence to date, all the past leaders up until Jonathan, those people need to be, their heads need to be examined. Because they were all military. And they couldn't even compel Shell or Elbron or any of these people to do something about that. Look at that young man, Obama in America, was able to compel these people to clean up. I had you ask her, why are they not cleaning up all this rubbish there? These people, and I keep saying, rather than allow this young man in Nigeria to see whether we can use him to do a lot of things in Nigeria, make some corrections. People are criticizing. You are leaders in the past. Let us down.
Okay, Vincent, because Vincent, I really want you to go on and on, but we've got very short time. Vincent has made a point there, and that is a point that leadership in Africa should be held accountable. Maybe if great men like Kwame Nkrumah and Saro Wiwa, if they had serious challenge, maybe they would have a rethink about the negative sides that, of course, we pointed out. But the current ones in leadership, I don't want to restrict it to Nigeria, in Africa and all over the world, that maybe people are not holding them to account.
I think in Africa, presidents or heads of states are not really held to account fully, and there's a fear of people, if I speak, will I be incriminated or is my family safe? And that's part of democracy. That part of democracy is still missing within Africa. But I think as time moves on, as we become the people of Africa, become more confident, because power is in the people. When the people put pressure on the government, then the government has no choice but to move. So as people become comfortable, I think heads of states will be held accountable.
Okay, I've got Francis on the line. Francis, because we're about to come to the end of the program, can you make it brief? And you're going to be our last caller. Good evening, Francis.
How are you? Good evening.
I'm fine, thank you.
Yeah, just to be precise on what you are saying, a lot of people talk about leaders. How about the followers?
Okay.
How about the reporters? How about the indigenous reporters that are carrying news when they put brown envelope into their pocket? I was going on YouTube last night when I saw your interview with Bola Ahmed Tinubu, when you interviewed him. And some people are with you. Maybe that was in 2012 when it was about going into the poll. And you lay a music of Fela Nicola Mudukuti, of Ebamile Kuronile Mioe, and Koko Ole, Ebamile Lo. These are the things that we are talking about. When we are trying in order to look into the main cause of the whole issue, we want to know the reason why, not that people will just be using their own indecisive decision to make justice.
Okay, Francis, thanks for taking me back to that video, of course, which was like a parody of, you know what. Well, Sarah, what would be your last word for us today?
I think, well, 2015 is coming up, and what I'd really like everyone to do is just find out a bit more about Ken Saro Wiwa, a bit more about his campaign, and check out Platform's website if you want to find out more about what we're doing there.
And what will be Platform's website? Is that?
It's platformlondon.org.
Okay, and Clarissa, Kwame Nkrumah, I'll be calling you the Kwame Nkrumah lady now, if you don't mind. So,
that's
what
fine.
will you...
Well, my last words would be really, I want to speak to parents. Parents, make sure as you're chasing the pound night shift and day shift, make sure that at least you are educating your children on people like Ken Saro Wiwa, Kwame Nkrumah, so that they grow up with confidence, grow up knowing that, you know, they are great people back in Africa that did great things. I mean, just to point out, as I was writing this book, I did research and I walked around, you know, young people and just asked them to name one or two presidents, but no one could. Everyone was talking about SCN, football, but no one could name a political figure. So the onus is on the parents in this country. Teach your children. The government won't do it for you. We've got to do it so that they can be proud.
Great. Thank you, Clarissa and Sarah. We thank you for coming on Politics with KO.
Thank you.
Viewers, you're more important than every other person. We really appreciate the fact that you stood by us, and then we got this program to the logical conclusion. Remember Zimling, the young Zimbabweans trying to make change in Africa, and we encourage young British African diasporans to go back home and look at things that they can do